Quiet down, you. Welcome to Wizard World.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you just got in, so you really haven't had much of a chance to experience any of this yet.
No, everyone said, how's Portland? I said, I've been in this convention center. It's great.
This is outstanding. Have you been to Portland before?
Not for a long stretch of time. Actually, Jennifer Goodwin and I drove down and went to a wedding here, season 1,
Okay.
which was somewhere in the wilderness. That was it's a long story. We're not going to get into it. But anyway, I was briefly in Portland 4 years ago.
Okay, all right. Well, do you have any time to check it out this time, or is it?
I have a 5 a.m. call time tomorrow.
That's too bad. Well, maybe next time. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your time today.
Absolutely.
We know you're busy, especially this weekend. You couldn't make it yesterday because you had to celebrate something.
Yeah, we were celebrating the 100th episode of Once Upon a Time. Yeah, it was really cool. They threw a really nice party in Steveston, which is where we shoot our meeting street for Once Upon a Time. Yeah, and everybody got together and celebrated 100 episodes.
Did you have any idea that you'd reach 100 episodes on this?
I mean, you never know. It's one of those things where when you start something, you don't know that it's going to be anything more than a pilot. And I knew that the script was really special, and I loved the character. I loved all the characters. But there are a lot of great things out there that don't stick and they don't last. And so you never know if you're a part of something that's going to be around this long. And we're around this long for you guys. So that's thanks to you guys that we're around this long.
The TV world, TV life is very fickle. You never quite know where you're going to go. Could you see the show reaching 200 episodes?
Oh gosh, I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean,
Obviously, that's the goal, but I mean, story-wise, do you see the quality remaining?
The thing that was so impressive to me about Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, even when I first met them, we always talk about our little meeting at Arts Deli in LA when we first met for the show. They just were so full of ideas, and they were going on and on and on about Peter Pan, and it's Snow White was going to be friends with Little Riding Hood, and all this, and I was sitting there just like, whoa. Because I mean, Once Upon a Time didn't exist yet, so can you imagine having all those stories coming at you, sitting in this telly? I was like, wow. So I just feel like they're so creative and so inventive in the way that they've mixed all these stories together and told their own stories and expanded the backstories of all these characters. And, you know, I believe in terms of their creativity that it's sort of a limitless possibility.
Now, I apologize if I've taken any question in the line here, but I have to ask, with the Disney connections and the ABC connections, could we see like Star Wars characters cross over into this giant fairy tale?
They've already said no.
I just want to be Princess Leia.
That would be outstanding.
I mean, even in my real life, I go around in like Princess Leia bun braids, you know? It's like a daily cosplay for me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the plan is. I don't know how that works out legally. I don't know who makes those decisions or approves those things. I know that they do go through extensive, you know, decision making in terms of when we had the Frozen characters and Brave and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how that works with copyright and licensing and all that stuff. But I know that Eddie and Adam are huge Star Wars fans. All the cast are huge Star Wars fans. So maybe we should just all of us pretend to be Star Wars guys.
Right. If the story makes sense, you're completely open to it then.
I keep trying to get everybody to dress up for Comic-Con. I think that we should all dress up. Instead of going to Comic-Con in fancy dresses and whatever, I was like, we should all pick a character and like really go for it. But I don't know.
Would you be one of those celebrities that goes to San Diego and wears a mask or does something so people can't recognize you, or would you want people to know it's you dressed up?
I don't know that it would be safe for people to know that it was me dressed up in San Diego. But I would love to do that. We end up having our time so scheduled tightly that that was a really bad sentence, but I've only got 2 hours of sleep to forgive my sentence structure today. It's okay, I'm not complaining, I'm just getting it. Yeah, we end up like doing stuff back to back, and we never really get a chance to go and experience the Comic-Con. So I would love to have a year where I could sneak around and actually see what's going on out there.
Well, hopefully you make that happen. Yeah, at the same time, hopefully you don't, because that means you're still working, you're still Once Upon a Time. You're right. Okay, give it
I'll
time.
sneak out of an interview.
There you go. Well, I don't want to monopolize your time. We see a very large line here, so let's get right to it.
Hi.
Hi.
So
and family relationships. My favorite relationship on the show has always been Henry and Emma. They've had so many ups and downs, especially in the last season. What has been, over all 5 seasons, what has been one of your favorite moments between the two of them?
Well, there's been some really nice stuff with Henry and Emma. You know, he's becoming a teenager now, so. It's like, I didn't know I signed up to raise a teenager. Gosh, there's so many sweet moments. I think, I know it goes all the way back to the beginning, but I always think about that moment, that little play castle, when she tells him, you know, why she gave him up and she wanted him to have his best chance. And I think so much of the show is kind of rooted on the foundation of what was connected between them in those moments there. And then we returned several times to that spot, had similar kind of conversations. And, you know, when he comes around and wants to do a new operation with her, and you know, he feels like he can trust her again. I think that was a really meaningful moment for her as well with him.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jen, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm wondering if you can tell us anything about the flower tattoo that Emma has on her wrist.
Oh yeah. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but conceptually from the beginning, I wanted something that felt like was a rash decision for Emma, that was actually her feeling something subconscious that tied her to the fairy tale world. And it's the same flower from the crest on Charming's armor, and so, or on his shield. And so, you know, for her, she felt like she was sort of doing like a young, rash thing to get this tattoo, and then later realizes that actually she was feeling some tie to her past. Hi. Oh, hi.
I had the opportunity to see you guys from the season a couple months back, and it was really fun for me to just see the whole movie making process. And I remember that you've done some directing. How is it like for you being behind the camera as opposed to being in front of the camera?
I really love directing. I mean, I really love acting as well. It's not like, you know, as opposed to, but I think just with the amount of time I've spent on sets, you start to pick up some of the technical stuff, and you start to see how it all pieces together. And I had directed a bunch of theater in college, and I directed a couple of small productions of theater when I came out to LA initially. So I'd always enjoyed that process of sort of putting a big story together and putting all those puzzle pieces together. And then I felt like after I've spent all this time on these sets, and I sort of pick everybody's brains and try to figure out how things work and try to get to the bottom of things. And so I spent all this time kind of figuring out how to do all the technical stuff too. And so when I decided to direct Warning Labels, which was my first short film, you know, I was a little nervous because I didn't go to film school, and so you go, gosh, I know I've been around this and I think I can do it, but until you actually do it, you're not sure. I really loved it. It was really invigorating, and you know, as an actor, you're always submitting to someone else telling the story, and no matter how much homework you do and how much research you do and how many decisions you make, someone else decides what's important, and someone else decides what stays in and what doesn't stay in. And so it was really exciting and liberating to be in a position as a director to be able to be the one making those decisions instead of having those decisions made for me, you know? So I enjoy both, and I enjoy the way I fit into the puzzle in both places, but it was nice to be able to do that, and I hope to continue doing more of it.
I was wondering if you saw any similarities between yourself and Emma.
Yeah, I think, you know, any character you play, inevitably there's some of you in it, and I've always felt like part of what I love about acting is that in order to decide who someone else is, you kind of have to weigh your own decisions against it. So even if they're making different decisions than you, you're still having to think through it in terms of what would I do versus what would they do, and is it similar or is it different, or every variation in between. And you know, I think I identify when Emma's, you know, early Emma, in terms of when her walls were up and she was tough and all of that. I think that I identified with the idea that she always wanted to do the right thing, and I do feel like that's a natural instinct in me, that I want to try to figure out how to do the right thing. Where we differed though is that I had a very loving childhood. I didn't go through the foster system. I don't have walls up. I don't feel like I'm fighting to keep people away from me. So all of that stuff was really different, but there was an underlying understanding of, even though I had a very different upbringing and a different life, I did understand that desire to try to do the right thing, even if it was the hard thing.
Okay, so I want to kind of really ask a directing sort of question, but I just want to say that I love the videos you did with Wild Wild Horses.
Oh, thank you.
And I wanted to know, what was the experience like directing it, also featuring it as well, and working with Rose and...
Oh yeah, Rose is the best. She's so awesome. You guys watch iZombie? It's interesting in this business because you start to figure out, especially when you start making stuff, you start to figure out the people who really love what they do and people who kind of just do it because it's a job, and Rose is someone who's such an artist and she really loves what she does, and she had not much time over that weekend. The fact that she committed to that and was doing it was amazing. We both ended up having kind of crazy schedules around it. We shot it in 2 days over a weekend. It was about 2 hours north of Vancouver in this area called Yale. There was just beautiful, beautiful wilderness. And I think I worked until 1 in the morning or something on Friday, and then got in the little RV that we rented and drove it up there. And then we worked all day Saturday and Sunday, and then drove back all night Sunday. And Rose had a 5 a.m. call time on Monday morning. So, just the devotion of someone who just is not only such a great friend, but she did it because she loved it and was passionate about it. So that was awesome, and it was a fun experience. We kind of all went up and camped. We stayed in RVs and tents on the land up there, and the crew was amazing and ran around hanging lights in trees. People were climbing trees to hang lights and all sorts of crazy things. And that to me was a really liberating process too, because it was the first time I was telling a story that was not linear. And so there was something really fun about letting it be kind of poetic and not so clear. I knew the story I was telling and I knew the decisions I was making about it, but I was leaving it open-ended enough for people to be able to project their own ideas and thoughts and interpretations into it. And there was something really fun about making something that was a little bit more poetic and a little bit less linear.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, so I was going between two questions, but since everybody's asking the directing question, I'm going to go with my other one.
Okay.
So I wanted to know, do you think that Emma understands how Regina feels with the whole being rejected by him in the first season? Because of how she was rejected by him at the end of...
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I think that speaks to something that I think is a big deal for Emma with the Dark Swan arc, which is that I think after what she went through with having the darkness inside of her, that there is a different humility that she has when she approaches everything from that point on. I think that she's always tried to understand things from other people's perspective, but I think that now that she's been through that, and now that she's known what it is to be capable of darkness and to do bad things and to make bad decisions, and to see how fallible we all are and to experience it firsthand, I think that she will always have a different humility and humbleness of how she deals with the other characters who were villains at times, but did do these things that she maybe didn't completely understand in the past. And so I think part of that is really understanding what it meant to have hurt Henry, even though she didn't intend to, and to have done things that she wasn't proud of in terms of her tactics to get what she needed to get to where she needed to get to, I guess, while she was was Dark Swan. So I think she definitely identifies with Regina and understands what she was going through that in the first season. And I think that extends beyond just Henry and Regina. I think that now extends into her experiences with everything. I think she's just a little bit more humble.
Thank you.
Hi. What do you think Emma's favorite book would be?
I'm sorry?
What do you think Emma's favorite book would be?
Emma's favorite book? Something with a lot of pictures. I think Emma and I are very different that way. Yeah, that's all I got.
Hi.
Hey.
I got a two-part question. question. I'm a humongous How I Met Your Mother fan.
Awesome.
So I was wondering, after How I Met Once Upon a Time took off, was there any questions if Zoe might come back to How I Met Your Mother? And the second part is, what was it like playing Zoe? Because it looked like it was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. I had such a good time. It was a really, really fun set, and also just fun to do a comedy. You know, it's fun to go to work when the goal is to make people laugh all day long. And it was, you know, Josh was great. Everybody, Jason, everybody on that set was just so much fun. And I talk about it all the time, but Pam Fryman, who directs all the episodes, is the executive producer. She's just a total hero of mine. I loved working with her. I always said that the one thing that could kill my ambition is if someone said I could work on that show every day for the rest of my life, because I could never say no to that. Yeah, so that was really, really fun. I went back and I did do the very, very, very last episode. I had a little cameo in the last episode of the last season. But they knew that she was, I knew when I signed on that I wasn't the mother, because I didn't fit the, you know, I didn't have the yellow umbrella and all those little, you know, Easter egg things that they had hidden. So I don't think that there was ever a time where they were thinking about her being a significant part of the show after that arc, but I don't know, maybe if I was available, maybe they would have snuck me in here and there. You never know. But you know, at that point, Emma had been born, so that was off and running.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. So I'm here to ask a question for my mom. She's a huge fan, so she couldn't make it.
Okay.
And she was wondering if you could change your character or the storyline, would you?
No.
And what would you do?
Sorry, Mom. That's a real simple answer. No, listen. I love the show, and I love Eddie and Adam, and I feel so lucky to be on a show where the characters are allowed to grow and change and evolve like real people do. And that's so rare on television, and I think it's really fun. And I just feel so lucky to be a part of a show where I get to constantly be challenged with new things as an actor and to try new things. And you know, I love Emma as if she exists, and to be able to watch someone you love grow is one of the most wonderful things. So it's been a really fun journey to be able to do that with her.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
First of all, I just want to say I adore your show. It's probably my favorite show ever. And I had a weird question. So family's been kind of an overarch, you know, this whole series. How do you feel like Emma feels about her baby brother? Because I know at this point, you know, Neil is kind of getting the childhood that she never really had. So is there still some resentment against either her parents or her brother for this?
I don't think she has any resentment about it. I think, I mean, I'm worried about Neil. I'm not sure what's going on with Neil.
He's there and not there.
I mean, we all go to 80s, he's sitting in Storybrooke. I'm not sure who's babysitting. I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried about Neil. Yeah, I don't know. There's not been a lot of, you know, it hasn't been addressed in the writing very much. But I don't, my instincts are that she feels any resentment toward him. I think, you know, she obviously has a very complicated relationship with the idea of parenthood, because she felt like she couldn't be a good parent, thought she was giving Henry his best chance, then found out that being with him was his best chance, you know. So she's gone through that journey. She's also gone through the journey of being separated from her own parents and searching for them desperately, which we actually are just now doing a backstory we're going to see more of young Emma. And you know, her desperation to figure out where she came from and try to understand who she is and how important that is to her. And, you know, so there's a lot of complications that are there in terms of what happened to her feeling abandoned and also abandoning. But I think that stuff's all starting to kind of work itself out, and I don't feel like it's been projected on the baby Neil, but I do worry about him.
Well, thank you.
Hey.
I was wondering through the whole entire season that we just watched, where Emma turns evil, I was wondering if you enjoyed playing Emma Swan or the Dark One.
I mean, I love them both, but it is definitely, just from an acting perspective and the challenge of something new, it was definitely fun to play the dark side of her for a while. And, you know, sometimes it feels, limiting, but I don't know if that's the right word, but restrictive in some way to have to do the right thing all the time as a character. You know, it's like her job is to do the right thing, and sometimes that kind of makes you feel like you're pushing against a certain wall of how much you can express or emote or grow or change. And so there was something about the Dark Swan arc where she had to face all of her demons, and she had to deal with the darkness within her, and she had to deal with the rage that she's never dealt with, and the abandonment she's never dealt with, all these things she's never let herself feel. She's suddenly feeling all those things and dealing with those things, and they're manifesting themselves instead of being repressed inside of her. And so that just gave me a lot of room to do stuff as an actor that I couldn't do with Emma when she wasn't dark. And then it also gave the room to be change in Emma after that, you know, for her to be able to be different after that arc and to grow for having faced her demons. So it's a really long way of saying it was really fun to play Dark Swan.
Thank you.
Hi, I was wondering, if there could be any other character at Once Upon a Time, what would it be?
That's always a tough question because I love Emma so much. I can't imagine not wanting to be Emma. I don't know. I also feel like I think everybody's so good in their roles that I can't imagine anyone else playing those characters. I was a real fan of Alice in Wonderland growing up. And I know that she hasn't been on our show. She was on the Wonderland spinoff. But if I could pick a character to also play, I would like to play Alice in Wonderland.
You mentioned the spinoff. I'm so happy.
Can someone help him with the microphone there, please? Thank you.
I have two questions.
Okay.
One, whose girlfriend would you like to be better, Neil or Captain Hook?
His girlfriend. Oh. Cutest kid in the room had to ask me that question.
Can't get out of it now.
I think I just want to be a rock star and have both boyfriends.
Next question it's kind of a question. Me and my sister, we love Once Upon a Time, and our favorite character is Emma.
Oh, thank you.
And my sister, she doesn't call it Once Upon a Time. She calls it Emma.
What's your name?
Logan.
Cody?
Logan.
Logan. Yeah, Cody, I love it. I'm also losing my hearing. That's really sweet. I'm so glad you guys like it so much. How old's your sister?
5.
What's your sister's name?
Riley.
Oh, wow. You guys are adorable. Thank you. And I'm so glad she likes it. And, you know.
She's going to put in a word to get the title name to change.
I think a few people might have an issue with that. But I think that's so sweet, and it really does mean a lot to me. I love that you guys love the show so much.
I just have one question about the Once Upon a Time show.
Okay.
Once Upon a Time. When's it gonna come back?
When does it come back on? March 6th, is that right? March 6th. That was good, I got it. On Sunday night.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Thanks for watching.
I know you were a child model, but at that age, I would not have the guts to get in line and say
watch
even
out.
one
That's a
word.
little lady killer over there.
Yeah.
Okay, that was adorable, and that segued perfectly for me because now I don't have to be the person who first opened up that can of worms. So we're heading into Hades, and unfortunately, currently, all of Emma's prior loves are sort of dead.
They're dead. You make out with Emma and you die.
Which I'm sure feeds into her abandonment issues just a little bit.
I mean, I think it's given me abandonment issues. Because I mean, these beautiful men, we make out and they die. What are you trying to tell me?
So we have the possibility of, I shipping or hoping to catch a glimpse of Graham from the very beginning. And we have Balefire Neil, who maybe is down there. And then, of course, you're trying to go down there for, or I was trying to go down there for Hope. What?
I was gonna be busy in hell.
How would Emma be able to handle it if she ran into all three?
That sounds fun to me.
And do you believe that there will ever be a happily ever after ending that doesn't end in death for Emma? I'm sorry.
This is the tone for the rest of the Q&A.
I'm sorry, it's about...
You're just right. It's funny because you're right. I think that, I've said this in reference to multiple different things in the show, but, there's no drama if you don't have conflict. And so, obviously we keep stirring the pot because we have to keep things active and in conflict so that we are still intrigued and you guys keep coming back and watching and hoping for things. We're not going to be in a point where everyone's like, oh, Emma's happy and it's all fine and let's keep going for another 100 episodes. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but I do feel like, Emma is Eddie and Adam's new fairy tale. She's their creation. She's, the new idea that was brought into a world of characters that already existed, that they've expanded and, shown backstories and mixed together and all this. So I think in their minds, what we are headed toward is the self-discovery process that Emma's going to go through to get to a place where she can find her happy ending, but that's going to be, near the end of the show. That's not going to be something that happens overnight. And so, yeah, I think that is on the horizon. I think that is somewhere in the future. I just don't know how far that future is.
Okay, so if she had to pick between the three
You are not escaping this question.
I pick all three. I want them all. Like, guys date a bunch of girls all the time. Why can't I date a bunch of guys?
Hey Jen, you have an amazing television career. Can you talk about your feelings, thoughts, or interests in the movie or blockbuster roles? You ever thought of becoming a comic book superhero? If so, who?
Listen, if someone wants to offer me a superhero role, I'm ready.
Okay. Can I suggest Poison Ivy? You kiss them, they die. Or
I'm so ready. I've been training for it. I would love to. It's an interesting thing in this business because you never know where the roles are going to come, and I've always looked at it as I take a job because I love the character and I love the material, and I don't really look at what medium it is. It's not like, oh, I'm only doing this because it's television or I'm doing this because it's film. I've gone where I've loved the characters, and that's taken me to television for many, many years of my life, because I think there's been some really wonderful female characters on television. But that being said, my time has been consumed. We work, 16, 17-hour days, and 9 months out of the year when you're doing a network television show, so most of my time is spent there, and I don't have a big window of time available to do other things. So, I haven't really been available to have those opportunities, and so whenever, way in the future, don't worry, whenever Once Upon a Time is no longer taking 9 months of the year for me, the hope would be that there are those roles out there and that there are new opportunities and new jobs to discover. So if that included a superhero, I'd totally be down for that.
Cool, thank you.
How do you feel about going to the
Seriously?
Underworld to save Killian?
Sorry. It's listen, Emma has really complicated feelings about it. I cannot believe how much time I spend talking about Hades, like a serious thing, like the Underworld. Like, I have the most serious conversations about this, and obviously it's a show, but all right, serious answer. My serious answer to that is that it's a really big deal for Emma that she's vulnerable enough to love someone as much as she loves Hook. I think it's a big, big, big deal. And I think that in real life, that's a hard thing. I know I struggle with that. I think that when you really let yourself love someone without conditions and without limits and without your ego in the way, that's really vulnerable and that's really brave and that's very hard to do. That's why relationships are complicated in real life. And so she's made a decision that she's going to be that vulnerable and she's going to let herself love someone that much and that she's going to take this big risk to go find him. And then her family decides that they're going to go with her. And I know that that's their decision. But it means a lot to her that these people that have not been in her life that long really want to support her and be there for her. And it's a big deal that they're going to stand by her side while she goes down and does something that's really right for her. But at the same time, that's scary because if anything happened to them or they got hurt in any way because of this journey, she'd feel very responsible. So it's a very complicated journey for her. She's determined to get Hook back and to save him and to be with the man that she loves. But she's also very afraid that the people who love her might get hurt along the way.
And how do you think it will end?
I don't know. Hopefully, okay. Hopefully not in hell.
Hi, my name is Caleb.
Hey.
And my question is, what is your favorite part about playing Emma?
I think my favorite part about playing Emma is how complicated she is. She's layered, you know, she's not just one thing, and you know, no person is, but she's written in a way where I get the opportunity to really explore a lot of different nuances in her personality. And she's a character that in one moment can be so strong and so tough and be saving everyone, and then turn around and be so vulnerable that she's crying and her heart is breaking. And there's something really nice about how human that is and how real that is. You know, I feel like we talk a lot about strong women on television, but I feel like it's not just strong women, it's real women. I consider myself a strong woman. I'm educated, smart, together, strong, tough. I also can get hurt and be very vulnerable and also need to have friends who are there to support me and family. And, you know, it's a real balance of strength and vulnerability in life in order to be human, in order to be the best version of yourself. And I think that the way Emma's written, there's space for all of that. And so I think I really appreciate that the writer